Welcome, fellow travelers. This is Dygz, and I'm joining Chibi and Virtek at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
So, Dygz, sir, for those who may have been living under a rock or have just approached Ashes here recently that might be watching, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Wow, that's a great question because I'm one of the co-hosts of Theory Forge. We do a show right now, the Ashen Forge, but we've been around for almost 10 years. I think it's going to be 10 years in August that we've been doing a podcast that covers MMORPG development specifically. So we started with EverQuest Next, and then we moved on to Revival and Chronicles of Illyria, and then we finally ended up with Ashes of Creation. Um, so myself, Dygz, and my co-hosts, Legendary Neurotoxin and Phantom X, we like to talk about MMORPG development, and we follow particular games. So I think Phantom X was the third supporter for Kickstarter for Ashes of Creation back in 2017, early 2017. Then he told us about it. I kind of think of Ashes of Creation as a successor to the EverQuest Next game design, specifically their nodes and the way they're working their nodes. So it's kind of also apropos that we're going to be talking about nodes today.
Indeed, indeed. So, if you could describe the kind of podcast that you have and the way that you approach topics and discussion, what would that be? How would you describe your discussions?
How would I describe our discussions? Well, it's interesting because we tend to have diverse opinions. It's pretty much free form. We might come in with a general topic, but we pretty much just talk about something and just kind of see where it goes. I am very specifically interested in MMORPGs, and the RPG is the most important part of that component. And that's stemming back from my Dungeons and Dragons days, like tabletop Dungeons and Dragons from the 70s. Late 70s, but still just a little tiny part of the 70s. And I want my MMORPGs to be RPG specific and not just generic MMOs. So some people don't care what type of MMO it is, as long as it's massively multiplayer, but I need that RPG component. So I'm not particularly a fan of an FPS. Legendary Neurotoxin likes the FPSs. He'll play anything, really. I call him a game hoe because he'll play anything. But he likes Planetfall 2, I think, is one of his big games. And then, so he's, out of the three of us, I would say he's more, not that he loves PvP, but he's the most PvP oriented of us. And then Phantom X is kind of in the middle, and then I'm Care Bear. I'm about as much of a Care Bear as you can get. So that makes our conversations kind of interesting because we have diverse interests and we're not exactly all interested in the exact same thing, so we rarely have the exact same point of view.
Yeah. And I'd have to agree with Kieran there, saying that he'd call you in depth. Everyone has their own opinion and they speak their mind. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. You folks definitely go more. I mean, some people would call it into the weeds. I would just call it like very in-depth discussion, like thoroughly exploring the topics instead of just covering like the surface level and moving on. So,
yeah.
For those who like to get really deep into conversation with stuff, they're definitely a channel to check out. For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I used to work for Activision for 10 years. So I also understand the development side. So that gives me a little bit of a different um, perspective on development because I understand some of the pitfalls. I especially understand dates um, and schedules. And uh, Legendary Neurotoxin is. Uh, Well, he works on games, so he's been a game developer like junior level. I don't think he's quite doing design necessarily. And then that again that gives us a kind of little bit of a different perspective because um, we understand what makes the sausage, what goes into the
Yeah.
sausage. So
Right.
See the other side of the counter.
hmm
The only way that I can relate is because I'm a web developer. So like I understand coding and I understand software, but I don't understand like
hmm
gaming specifically. All I can do is like, well, in my profession, this takes long, so I can imagine it'd be longer for gaming. Like
Well, the interesting thing about having a gamer as the creative director um, is that especially in the beginning, we could really see Steven being very optimistic about what he would be able to do. Like
hmm
gamers get in and they want to make the game that we all want to play,
Right.
but then don't understand some of it. Like you don't want to quite be as want to be as transparent as you would like to be. You don't want to throw out dates because you're going to miss those dates. Things like that. So.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely did like to kind of throw out a bunch of stuff, a lot of information that they don't really put out anymore.
Yeah.
hmm
Which, I mean, as you said, it also shows that up to date right now, he's grown as more like the leader of a development studio instead of someone that just wants a development studio to make the type of thing that he wants to get made. And I
Right.
think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree with
So, one thing I was curious about with the three of you, do you think that the three of you at the Forge are going to be kind of changing up your approach to any content creation at all once the game goes live, or is it still going to be just kind of like the three of you hanging out doing discussions and diving deep into topics, or do you think that the three of you are going to be doing like a three-way like gameplay and stuff like that, and like analyzing some of the gameplay stuff?
I don't know if we'll be analyzing the gameplay necessarily. We'll have to see. So, actually, I think Legendary Neurotoxin will, in some fashion, be um, analyzing gameplay. He might be doing that on his own channel, though. Hopefully, we would be playing together. And, we got to play with each other during Alpha 1. That 5 years ago? Is that 2019?
Yeah, it's
No, I
been
think it was after. I think it was 2021, right? I
yeah, I'm
think it
trying to
ended
recall
in
too.
2021.
Like so much time has passed, and it feels like it's gone by quickly, but it also feels so long ago.
hmm
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't, I
So,
don't say dates anymore. I'm like Steven, I don't say dates anymore until I look it up and say, wait, when was
hmm
that again? Because I forget.
right, right. I think it was 2021. Could have been 2020. No, it had to have been 2021. But yeah. So hopefully we'll have some gameplay with us playing together, but also us playing with friends. I'm sure I will have some videos on my own channel. Uh, Except I'm not really going to be playing the game for real, for real. I'm not going to be doing any progression. I'm just going to be doing exploration. So
Hmm.
um, that's going to be kind of interesting.
Just kind
Um,
of progress however much you need to get by, type of thing.
I'm trying to level as little as possible. So
Okay.
I'm not really playing. I'm going to be hanging out and exploring, but I'm not particularly. It's to be PvP centric for me now, so I'm not actually going to be playing in any way that I can uh, become upset because somebody is impeding my progress. Um,
that.
so
Okay. That'll be interesting actually, just to see where you can get while staying super low level.
Mm-hmm.
Nodes are gonna pop up to level 6 out in the middle of nowhere, and you're just gonna stumble across some massive monsters chasing you down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, with
Yeah,
that, are you gonna be trying to do that with a stealthy class so you can sneak
of
around
course.
and whatnot?
Yeah, that's the main way I do my exploration in MMORPGs. Yeah.
I can just see that being almost the very definition of a ranger right there. Literally just going out
Ranger,
and
rogue,
exploring.
probably rogue ranger. We'll have to see what gives me the best stealth combination. And then yeah, we'll have to see how low I can go, right? Because I'm probably going to want to increase my stealth, so I'm probably going to have to do some leveling. Maybe we'll have to see.
Solid says other MMOs let you turn off your XP gain, but I'm not sure if Intrepid will. And then Raka says, what if you get to level 50 by being a map completionist, though, or close to?
Oh, that's fine. The goal is to just uh, go as far as I can at the lowest level possible. But if I get to level 50, that'll be okay.
Dygz will be the lowest level castle monarch in the history of Vera.
Nice. Well, hey, if nothing else, I mean, you'll be able to definitely put out there, if you're going to explore the entire map, you're going to hit at least this level guaranteed. Because I just did it, and all the experience you gain from just discovering new areas, this is what it'll get you.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all right. I know I'm a big exploration person too. Usually it ends up, and I'm so curious to see how I do that with Ashes. Because I usually do the exploration thing kind of like you did. Like I want to see the whole map. I want to climb the places that look climbable, even though they don't look like they should be. I'm sure I can try to get up there. And that usually takes second place to PvE, but PvE is going to be very difficult to purposely do without engaging PvP. So exploration might increase on my tier list.
It's kind of funny because, like I said, I do normally play bards or rogues in Dungeons and Dragons, and I do that so I can have charisma skills. And I normally use those charisma skills to avoid combat as much as possible. And I've been doing that for decades, but it kind of got to be a problem several years ago. I was playing with Ombwa. Ombwa is he's a quest designer for Ashes of Creation right now. So we're playing with Ombwa and Legendary Neurotoxin, Snipe Hunter, and I had to remember, don't use my skills to completely avoid the combat, because other people in the the play group might want to use their combat skills. But yeah, I would often just bypass the combat. So I try to bypass combat even when it's against mobs. I'm trying to bypass combat, but even more so when it's against other people. So other players. So not always a great fit when you're going to be combat heavy, especially PvP heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say how a lot of stuff plays out. It'd be interesting. Interesting. It's gonna be a journey. So that being said, with all of the potential for different nodes and who knows where to level up, how difficult do you think it might be to get exploration done farther down the line as a new player versus when the game starts as a new player? Do you think somebody years down the line would be able to do the same thing?
I don't see why it shouldn't change too much in terms of the ability to level. It should just get easier to do what you want to do, because um, there's more available. There's more support as nodes develop. Then you should be able to get more support for what you want to do. So
yeah, I meant to, particularly the leveling are leveling as little as possible while exploring everything, because then
I'm
there's going to
saying,
be more nodes leveled up and tougher
yeah,
monsters
but
creeping around everywhere.
well, but you should be avoiding combat, right? I'm going to be avoiding combat, so it doesn't matter
Yeah,
how tough the creatures are.
fair enough. Fair enough.
So, like, I will often play the Care Bear challenge, which is to um, uh, so normally that is to get as high as you can to get to max level with no kills. Um, I consider myself to be playing the ultimate Care Bear challenge because I'm not trying to get to max level. I'm trying to stay as low level as I can. Um, and then sometimes you also try that with no deaths. But um, so if you die once, you have to start a different character. That's the hardcore Care Bear challenge.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I frequently play where the goal is to not kill anything, and I'll be doing the same thing at Ashes. So it won't matter how difficult the mobs are. Just if you die too many times, then well, it's not going to matter there because you want. I won't care about the XP debt. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair enough. Actually, help you accomplish your goals if you have a bunch of XP debt, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.